You did everything right. You followed the rules, checked the boxes, and chased the life you were supposed to want. Yet you wake up feeling completely hollowed out, dragged down by a bone-deep exhaustion that sleep cannot touch. Our culture looks at this kind of existential fatigue and immediately slaps a medical label on it. We are told this profound numbness is a breakdown, a glitch in our chemistry, a personal failure that must be diagnosed and treated. So the world hands you its standard prescriptions. Take a pill, read another productivity book, or maybe just book a long weekend away. Anything to force you back into being a functioning, compliant member of society. These remedies all share a single goal: returning you to the exact state of normalcy that produced this exhaustion in the first place. Over a century ago, the legendary psychologist Carl Jung mapped this exact crisis, and his conclusion contradicts modern psychiatry. He warned that this agonizing emptiness is a deliberate, calculated rebellion by your own unconscious mind. Look at this structure. From childhood, you are forced to build a shell to survive the expectations of others, a social mask Jung called the persona. You wrap your true nature in rigid layers just to fit in and keep the peace. That terrifying sensation of falling apart marks the structural failure of the persona. The rigid outer layers are cracking under the pressure of your unconscious, finally allowing the core to breathe. What you are experiencing as a catastrophic ending is a mechanical dismantling. It is the exact process required to clear the ground so your real life can begin. Think about how this started. Early on, you learned that being accepted meant being compliant. You traded your genuine desires for stability, quietly burying the parts of yourself that made too much noise. But carrying that fabricated character into adulthood requires a massive, daily tax on your psychic energy. Propping up a mask every single day takes tremendous effort. Eventually, the strain causes a split. You start experiencing a strange dissociation, moving through your routines and relationships as if you are hovering slightly outside your own body, watching a stranger speak your lines. Jung considered this one of the greatest human tragedies. Looking at the complex inner architecture of the mind, he recognized that an unlived life is a fatal condition. People slowly suffocate, trapped inside a narrative written entirely by someone else. Your chronic exhaustion is not a lack of innate drive. It is a ledger finally reaching zero. You have simply bankrupted your energy reserves, paying for an identity that isn't yours. The mind doesn't collapse without warning. Long before you hit the wall, your unconscious tries to get your attention through subtle signals: a recurring dream, a sudden spike in anxiety, or a lingering sense of boredom. Your ego, however, hates unpredictability. Addicted to control and terrified of losing its status, it quickly steps in to silence those alarms. When polite warnings are ignored, the psyche raises the volume. Two immense forces, who you are and who you pretend to be, grind against each other. The resulting internal friction forces a complete emotional collapse. Jung personified depression as a lady in black, a visitor who demands an audience to deliver a necessary, if painful, report on the state of your soul. The absolute worst thing you can do right now is numb out or distract yourself with busy work. You must stop running. Pull up a chair, invite the lady in black to sit down, and listen closely to what she has to say. The sheer agony of this breakdown is entirely generated by your own resistance to it. The moment you surrender to the demands of your soul, the friction stops. You have to treat this heavy emotional pain for what it actually is: a mourning period. You are holding a necessary funeral for outdated beliefs, dead-end routines, and toxic attachments. Society begs you to retreat to the safety of the known, but the Jungian mandate is clear. You cannot go back. You must walk straight into the storm and go completely through the suffering. This threshold acts as an initiation. It violently strips away decades of careful performance, leaving you bare and fiercely vulnerable. This profound internal deconstruction clears the psychic ground. You cannot build an authentic life on the foundation of a fictional one. Jung gave this psychological evolution a name: individuation. Here, the chaotic, tangled threads of your existence finally organize into a single, sharply defined point of truth as your soul refuses the mask. Finishing this requires claiming radical, unapologetic responsibility for that identity. You must leave the chaos behind and step forward into reality. You will feel dread, but that fear is a guardian, not a stop sign. Feeling terrified about this change simply proves you are finally touching your authentic self. I want you to draw a line in the sand right now. Make a binding contract with yourself to stop retreating. Type the words "I choose to cross" in the comments below, and let that be the first real action of your new life. Leaning into this collapse ends the internal war. By crossing this threshold, you stop performing for the world and finally begin the difficult, necessary work of being yourself.